Hello and welcome to the Sound of Science, the place where we deconstruct unscientific reasoning. Please consider to like and subscribe if you support science. Thanks for watching. Hello, you wonderful people. Earlier, I made some videos about self-proclaimed Bishop Tom Brown from Texas. Each time I think that it's not possible, that he's going to say more deluded things, I'm proven wrong. But today, it's not only delusion he displays. Today, it very much looks like Tom Brown is trying to deceive and tyrannize his fellow Christians because he doesn't want to say goodbye to those sweet dollars that pay for his nice swimming pool. Let me show you what's going on.
The home church, the house church movement is not of God.
Wait a minute. What does that even mean? To clarify, many countries, including the USA, have a home church or house church movement, and in many countries that is a growing movement. What's going on here? Well, for many reasons, for example, for practical or financial reasons, and sometimes for reasons of safety or reasons rooted in a wish for more freedom and independence from the church, people transfer the professing of their religious belief from the church to the comfort of their own homes. They practice their belief with small groups of like-minded people in private homes, and many of these people see the house church as the primary form of their Christian community, and their former church is losing more and more meaning to them. Now, I'm an atheist, and I think in most cases, the reasons people give me why they believe in their God are pretty silly. But that doesn't mean I think Christians in general are stupid people, or that everything their Bible says is stupid, or that every choice they make in practicing their belief is stupid. No, to the contrary. In this case, I think making the choice of saying goodbye to your church and start practicing your Christian beliefs within the boundaries of your own home, with like-minded people who you feel connected to, who you trust and who you believe in, is a great idea. Even as an atheist, I fully support that, because home is the exact place where the practice of a religious belief belongs. Religion is a personal matter. 1 million Christians can read the Bible, and all of them will give you a different interpretation of it, according to their own worldview, their own character, or their own position in life. People want to have the freedom to give their personal interpretation to their own belief. That is what they need to live a happy life and fulfilling life. The official churches, however, are institutions of centralist power that make individual choices and individual interpretations of religious belief impossible. They will do whatever they can to keep individual believers in check, in order to maintain their grip on power, money, and all kinds of privileges. And they have done so for centuries, using punishment, threats, hate, and violence, not to mention corruption and abuse of young churchgoers. Now in the Western world, like in the USA, the days of absolute power of the church are gone. People are free now. The church is no longer in command of the state, and the elders of the church can no longer decide to burn you at the stake for not obeying them. So what happens now? A new generation of Christians is discovering that the position of the institutional church is getting weaker and weaker. So what do? They say, I still believe in God, which I as an atheist think is silly, but that's not so much relevant for this video. But more and more Christians say, I'm going to practice my belief at home, with my family, with some friends, with some like-minded colleagues perhaps. They are starting their own home church. And that is a very humble, non-interfering, non-obtrusive way of practicing your belief in peace and letting other people live in peace. You got your belief, I got my belief, and we leave each other alone. You'd think that each and every leading figure of the church would want Christians to be happy and make their own free choices, but apparently not, because this self-proclaimed Bishop Tom Brown finds new reasons in this to denounce his fellow Christians.
The home church, the house church movement is not of God. Why is it not of God?
Why is a home church not of God? What does that even mean, and why does it matter? These home church people just make their own choices, and apparently your God is fine with that. Otherwise, he wouldn't allow it. I mean, if God allows genocide, war, and murder, you really think your God is now having a problem with some people practicing their belief at home? Just leave these people alone, you silly clown. What reason can you have for bothering your fellow Christians like this?
Because Jesus built an apostolic church, not a laity church.
Tom, I don't even know what that means. I don't care what it means. And it's worth nobody's time to find out what it means. Whatever you say that Jesus has done or said 2,000 years ago is not relevant for free people in a free country who make their own free choices about starting a home church. If your Jesus doesn't allow that, then he's a douchebag. But even I, as an atheist, I'm willing to believe that in this case it's not Jesus who is the douchebag, but someone else here is being the douchebag, Tom.
You see, the problem with the home church movement is they have rejected the ruling clergy.
That, Tom, is not the problem, it's the solution. You know who the supposed leading clergy are? That's you, Tom. People are walking away from creeps like you, and they start their own home churches, and I can't blame any Christian for that.
So a bunch of Christians without a pastor or an elder, they decided to gather together to be the church, they say.
How condescending, Tom. What an awful way to display your fellow Christians. So a home church is not a real church now. Tom, the only thing fake here is you calling yourself a bishop.
And they don't need a pastor or an elder to rule them.
Yes, Tom, exactly. These people don't need people like you for anything. You're just a clown, spreading hate and organizing fake healings. And home Christians no longer want to be associated with that. I love those home Christians. They are the part of the Christians who show some critical and logical and free thinking.
They're going to let Christ be their ruler. That's what they say to themselves.
No, Tom. As I told you before, these home Christians are going to be their own leaders, and they are disposing themselves from charlatans like yourself.
But let me ask you something.
No, better not ask a question. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very crappy question.
Did Jesus really build a laity church, or did he not build an apostolic church?
Tom, it's completely irrelevant what you say that Jesus built or did not build. That has got nothing to do with why people are starting their home churches today.
Jesus ordained 12 apostles and gave them the keys of the kingdom.
Now this is the part where Tom is getting totally insane. This is basically where he says that he is a successor of Jesus. What a clown.
And then from those 12 apostles, they went on and ordained elders and bishops, so they would be their successors. And what the word church means is assembly of the elders. Not the assembly of the whole people of Rome, or not the assembly of all of the Jews, but the assembly of the elders.
Tom, your frustration and fear, and also your disdain for the Christians who have been coming to your church and have been paying for your swimming pool is beyond astounding. I see how difficult it is for you to accept that people discover that they don't need your rubbish and can and should start their own home church as quickly as they can. But that is going to make you lose some hefty amount of dollars. It's the gullible people that pay for your comfortable lifestyle, and now they take their money to their own home churches. Great stuff. How unfair is that for you, Tom? And it looks as if you're now trying to say that you've got some copyright on the word church, and that if people start a home church, it's not a real church. Grow up, you silly man. I can call my home a church today if I want to. Heck, I can call myself a bishop today if I want to. And if you don't like that, you can sod off. And other than that, Tom, you just assemble with your fellow clown bishops in your church and let the other Christians just make their own choices.
So the home church movement, they don't have ruling bishops and ruling elders.
Indeed, Tom, and that's the whole point. The home church movement is walking away from creeps like yourself, and it's about time they did.
The great Orthodox Church, they have their declaration that if there is no ruling elder among the Christians, there is no church.
Tom, I totally love the way you're panicking here. I guess you had a bad dream about people turning their back on your church, and then you had to find a real job to pay for your swimming pool. How about that, Tom? Maybe start a second career in the delivery industry, or perhaps as a janitor in a hospital. I think it would be a great idea, because then you might finally become useful to people.
So if you're part of a home church, a house church movement, and you don't have a ruling elder and ruling bishop, listen to me, you're not part of the church. That's right, you've separated from the church. So what we have in the home church movement is a bunch of rebellious people who don't want to submit to the leaders that Christ has established. Now, meeting at homes, that's good. There's nothing wrong with meeting at homes, provided all of you recognize that you have a ruling clergy over you. And when you do that and you are in submission, then God can really bless your home meetings.
What a hateful individual you are, Tom. You are prepared to denounce and dismiss your fellow Christians. You're even prepared to throw in some good old biblical threats. Obey me, and only then God will bless you. This really is one of your lowest of lowest messages I've seen from you, Tom. And for what? Because people just want to make their own decisions about how to practice their own religion without being subject to your crookery. I never thought that I, being an atheist, would defend Christians, but in this case I do. I support Christians who start home churches, who, for whatever reason they have, decide for themselves to make their own free choices, to practice their belief as they see fit in a free manner without being ruled by hate clowns like Tom Brown. Thanks for watching.